I never paused it.
Yes, I've got apologies from Councillor Plant, Councillor Howard, Councillor Mann, Councillor Moffat, and Councillor Robinson.
Declarations of interest. Has anyone got any declarations of interest in any item? No.
I'll move it.
Said that was my Patricia. No questions? Have you got questions?
One tiny typo, item 4, minutes should be 2025.
We've had a proposal. We've got the 16 minutes. No, thank you. All those in favour? That is fine, this clerk's up here. So over to you, Judy. We've got the what we want to.
Yeah, there's not too much to update on that's not actually on the agenda. Number 2, Albert Road, the renovations are coming along nicely now. They have, they did come up with there's a bit of a problem with the floor in some areas, so they've had to replace the joists and they've done all that. They've leveled it all, and they're also now left the kitchen area to the toilet area, so that's all underway at the moment. Once they've done that, I'll get the utilities done and separated off, and obviously that has to be done before the decoration starts. But yes, we're well underway with that. The Northern Town Council newsletter, obviously, it was our first one for February, which was sent out and was also emailed to all the councillors. I did say in that email as well, if there is anything that you want to add to that at any time, like any events that you know that are going on that you think people need to know about, you need to liaise with Kaylee on that. So her email address is office. So anything you've got, you can just liaise with Kaylee and she'll solve that. The only other thing is just a small update on the Pride Place grant. Just as there is a number of projects going forward for Colne, which include the Walled Garden area, Alton Court, the Town Hall Club, the War Memorial, I'm not sure when we'll get to hear on any of that. David, you've got any updates?
No updates on that.
Okay. And the other thing is the UK Town Culture. So we did get a group together. We've had quite a few meetings now, with sort of ideas are flying all over the place at the moment. We're well on the way with filling the expression of interest, and we are hoping to do an information event at the Munich. That will be the first week in March. I think we said the Thursday. So it's Thursday, the 5th of March, from 5 till 7. Obviously, we're still working on the ins and outs of that event and what's going to happen there. So that is obviously just to get information from the public on what they want to see in Colne, whether they know what's going on at the moment culturally, and just to find out what areas to work on really. So that will inform our project going forward that we put through, and we have to have the expression of interest done by the 31st of March.
Any questions? Yes,
I think it would be helpful if we all knew what's the deadline
to be in the newsletter each month?
Well, I'm presuming to keep off with childcare, but it's going to be sent out at the beginning of every month, I think. So I would say, at least a week before that, would you would need to.
Okay, I think we're all right with that. Yes. And the next item is public forum. Now we've got, yeah, you want to speak, don't you? And we've got Julian here, Julian Herbert, who wants to say a few words. And she didn't realise to have two.
Ladies first.
Julian, do you want to say? Right. Do you want to say why you're here? Please, Julian.
We know. My name is Julian Herbert. Was born and bred in Colne, born in Exchange Street, then we moved down to Albert Road. I'm come to appeal to you on behalf of some of the residents of Queen Street who are too poorly to come. The people have been fighting these restrictions for some time, which have made them very ill. The so worried deserve better life again. Some special needs and mobility, and some need to park. We cannot understand the work said to be done, which has changed, but it's not feasible in their opinions. My payments, speed bumps on the yellow line, causing all anxiety and mental stress. This also involves my church, as Father will have to change all the timetables. It costs over £7,000 to run the church. We have a group and groups of people that come in will chat apart. I don't know any other church in Colne that has such restrictions. We have Christian Asians coming in now, refugees, and the people that we can help. If the people cannot get to church, it will suffer and it will end up closing. There's no car park. I'm horrified at the proposals and don't understand the stress that you don't understand the stress that it's made. I'm in touch with the county council and the local MP. The world is in a shocking place and you're not helping. No good for Colne. It was such a nice little town. I understand the changes, but this will not make it any better. Please do not put down the yellow line. Thank you.
Monday.
This situation has arisen last year when County Council said they were going to make improvements for the safer green of streets. Myself and Councillor Thomas have actually been involved with residents on Queen Street several times. In fact, we did have a meeting as well with the priest of the church. The issue with the yellow lines are, as this is the last meeting we had, but they are only going to be enforced Monday to Friday between peak hours. Remember the time, there will be no restriction. It's a single yellow, not a double. That was what we've been promised. Unless you've heard anything else, Chair, but it's 7 till 9 Monday to Friday and 3 till 5 Monday to Friday. This is what was informed by County Council at that time, and the plan is there. at that time. This was October last year, I believe. They told us, yes, even though they put on there the double yellows, that was a mistake. They will not be double yellows. They will be putting single yellow light down on one side of the road, which is in front of the church. And they will be peak times on Monday to Friday, 8 till 10, and 4 till 6, I believe they said. Just as a clear way, the rest of the time they will be open for use.
On the last roll for all times, for all the masses, for all things, for everything. On the last one.
This is a county council issue.
It's changed that often, it keeps changing. But I think Councillor Clegg said Queen Street's going to be closed for 5 months. Is that right, Councillor Clegg?
The dates that County Council have proposed for the road closure of Queen Street, the work to be done, are to close Queen Street from the 5th of July to 20th of November.
Yes, Patricia?
Just on the parking restrictions, I haven't actually been down there, and I don't know what is on the yellow plates that they put outside the on the land control. But it's my understanding that if there is a time stated on these yellow plates for parking restrictions, they are to be adhered by. If it says Monday to Friday, 8 till 10, 4 till 6, and there is any officer of the law, i.e. a traffic warden or a police officer, who places a parking ticket outside of those hours, then that ticket is invalid. But they can issue a ticket if they deem that vehicle is causing an obstruction. I understand your concern, especially around the church services. They should not be affected. I would suggest that the church council approach Lancashire Highways in regards to this, because of your concerns and just about your congregation. That is an aging congregation, and you need to be able to get into your church, your services. I understand that. The fact that you haven't got a car park it's similar to a lot of churches in the area, but you should not really worry about the parking issues outside of those restrictions, Monday to Friday. I believe that is the that's the approach, because I believe that you have services at 9 o'clock. At the moment, my colleagues church services at 9 o'clock.
They have them at 9:30, 10 o'clock. They have some at night at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So they would get.
It's just the early one, the 9:30. That would be the only one where you might have to where the father might have to rearrange because of the traffic restrictions.
It's the Sunday service for the Mr. Thomas, do you want to say something?
Briefly, as we said earlier, that the agenda is quite a lot more. The county council have not listened to any representations that have been made to them in the past. I'm not sure that they know where Queen Street, Princess Street, North Valley Road is. Councillor Clegg was watching in my right here. we're not sure that that they know where Pendle is. The whole scheme that they have been told time and time again that it won't work, and particularly now if to put the scheme into action, to have road closures July to November, the mind boggles as to how that's going to work. Well, it isn't going to work, is it? We should ask the new head of highways is,
Matthew, somebody with that.
and the actual people that do the plan drawing and everything to come, and we need to tell them that what they're proposing is not feasible. Whether they live in nice leafy parts of Preston or other parts of Lancashire, I don't think they realise that Colne and other parts of Pendle are made primarily of terrace streets, which means that people have nowhere to park other than on street. I mean, to come up with this thing of taking the parking away in Preston, it just is not feasible. They're just living in cloud cooking.
I'll bring Marilyn in a minute. I mean, my dealings with them, they're very nice, but and they say, no, we haven't changed it, we understand what you mean. And then you get another plan, and then something else goes wrong, and you ring up again, and speak to somebody else, and they say, yeah, we'll fiddle about with it. We just want a plan that works. So I'll bring Marilyn and then Sarah.
Thank you, Chair. We've had this discussion, you and I have spoken today, and I've spoken to Gillian previously. It was brought to my attention from Gillian. And what I've said to you today is that I will contact Simon Harris. And I will contact Warren Goldsworthy, who's the cabinet member for Harris, and I will put across very forcefully, as I do, my argument for it to be stopped until it's been rethought through and with the agreement of the residents, because without it, it's never going to work in a million years. And to take a pavement away and to put a pavement at the side and to say that for a funeral, one car, well, fine, that's obviously the hearse, but what about the chief mourners? For a wedding, one car, what about bridesmaids? It's a ridiculous situation to be in, and if it depends on traffic wardens and police to be going past at the time of these happening, when it's one and only road round the town, it's a bit stupid in my estimation, and I'm going to put that off. So I will do that. I'm not in again until Friday, but I will be speaking to both this morning.
So I can give a little bit of the preamble to this, if not how we're at the position we're in. Because Gina, David, and I, loads of other people went to all the consultations that LCC had. And they had these consultants who clearly had an agenda. So they started off saying, we have everything on the table, we're just trying to make everywhere safer and greener and healthier. So we're just like, oh, we're putting places forward. I was suggesting Birch Russell Avenue, I was suggesting all kinds of places. But it was quite apparent, wasn't it, Gina, from the second meeting, that it wasn't really true what they were saying, how it was all on the table. But at the second meeting, the headmistress and the caretaker of Lord Street Primary pitched up. And they were very useful and interesting because it had become apparent by this stage that a lot of it was to do with traffic calming around the school. And there are problems around that school. So I just felt, I'm sure Gina was at this meeting, that they weren't really listening to the headmistress. So the headmistress was really clear. She said, you know what would be the total game changer would be, you know, our green space across the road, if we could have a pull in and pull out drop-off zone for parents, it would stop all the gridlock on the roads around our school. If we could just take a little bit of that field, pull in, pull out, parents gone, it would be amazing. And the consultant said, oh, we're thinking of closing this road. And what's the road that's not Lord Street? It's the road down the side. Sorry, Fothergill. So the consultant said, we're thinking of closing Fothergill. And the headmistress said, that wouldn't help us. That's not where our main entrance is. Can you see? Our entrance is here. You doing that would make any positive difference to the school. So during these consultations, it was clear to me, and I'm hoping that perhaps to others, that we were honestly doing all the consulting and giving all our local knowledge. The caretaker was, the headmistress was, but the actual consultants were just like going a bit off piste. So I actually think for the same price, they could have given the headmistress exactly what she wanted, and that would have taken the gridlock and the parent traffic off the road. But they just never were prepared to engage with it.
I don't understand why the entrance in Ford Street anyway when it's one-way street, because that's just silly. The entrance used to be on Fothergill Street, which made a lot more sense than it brought, of course, a lot less aggravation to everybody.
Well, I don't know.
See why it can't be there, but that's the building. What used to be the toilet block has been elongated, so it's totally different. And it's now on a much more dangerous road, and parents just queue up and they fall off the pavement. You see them, but you have to stop when you're going up the road. It's a ridiculous state of affairs. I will take Warren to task this, because only he can stop it.
These were the external consultants.
It might well be, but he needs to stop it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been there then, would it?
The weird thing was, they did all the consulting, we all went and did the consulting, they had all the cakes and the tea, we gave them all the pearls of wisdom and the local knowledge, each with our own views, and they seemingly ignored them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've no idea, because obviously I've only been there since May, and so has Warren. But Warren has his head screwed on in the correct way, and he used to be in Nelson a lot. We go back a long way, so I will contact him and find out and see what I can do about it, and make sure that I can sort it.
Yeah, and let us know
I will,
what's going on.
once I get an answer that I can actually put in front of you, I will put that answer in front.
Just to say, actually, it's £3 million that's being spent on this scheme for parents. £3 million. I'm sure it could affect positive change, £3 million.
Come on, let's learn, because.
Yeah, no, it's great that you're going to go on Cedar, but you need a paper trail. So could you email? Oh, yes,
I have to start off from that point, yes.
right. Just a quick one here, the microphones. If you're watching this at home, like I was last month, and you haven't got your microphone on, you can't hear anything.
Right, well, they're proud of Mr. Cranberry. But some suggest, what? Got 28 items on this agenda. Yeah.
It's good to be back in the corridors of power. A big anniversary for me this weekend, because on Sunday it's exactly 7 years when I became a proud freeman of Cong. 7 years. And many of you in here tonight, the great and the good, were there that night, and it's been a wonderful thing for me. I'm very proud to have been made the 14th Freeman of Cong, and despite numerous biopsies, I'm still here, fortunately, and I hope to go on as long as Mr. Ebenezer Wilberforce Foley, the only other historian Freeman of Cong, 1872 to 1968. It was made a Freeman on his 90th birthday. I was made a Freeman on my 75th, and Mr. Foley lived until he was 56. ex-emulated, and everybody's been very kind to me. All the councillors, town hall staff, you know, Gina, Nathan, Caleb, Billy, everybody. I'm a very fortunate man because this is my hometown, and I've been asked now to come today from the Market Hall staff. The Market Hall is somewhere where I've gone for 82 years. I've been going to Market Hall. My mum used to wheel down Dockery Street all them years ago. There used to be, from 1937 until the war, 72 stalls in Colne Market. 72. 4 cafes, wonderful toy stalls, and we hope the new Market Hall will revolutionise Colne. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to it. And the Market Hall, we're losing 2 institutions shortly, so we want somebody to make up for that. Matalan's going, that's closing, going in March. And Colne Life magazine, 21 years it's been going. I've been doing it for 8.5 years. Gone. No more Colne Life.
Oh, that's about news.
Yeah, sad, a wonderful magazine. But what we are doing, Northern Life is going the same size as Colne Life, and it will be free. And I'm still going to do free, so I'll make sure there's lots of Colne news in it. But sadly, Colne Life's gone for a time. The Market Hall, wonderful that it's gone open. The newsletter from June 2025 says it will be opened in September. In case you can put back and put back. Now I go to the market every week. I have done all my life. I love the market. Colne has always had a market. Henry I gave us the charter, which I believe Sarah's working on, in the year 1125. And that charter was the most important thing to Colne. It went missing many years ago from the parish church, along with the signed tithes and laiths bills signed by Edward V. That went missing, but they've gone for all time. I don't think we'll see them again. But Colne Market Hall has always been a part of Monacolne. They used to have actual cattle fairs in the street. I have photographs with about 30 cattle in the street being sold off. Cattle Market was a wonderful place, 1905 to 1957. You could go down there and see a bull escape and go around the street. Oh, wonderful. Them days are wonderful. So, Colne Market Hall. I go and see my friends, James, Craig, Dean, they're all there. John, of course, Stephen, our markets inspector. My stepdad was a markets inspector from 1939 until 1963. And he was there for many, many years. But they've asked me to come forward to you tonight, purely for just noting what they feel. Whether anything's done about it, it's up to, you know, whoever can do anything. This is a newsletter, and this is what they believe the Market Hall sign would be. Now look at that. It spreads right across the market there. The one that's been put up is white on black. As soon as it goes dusk, you cannot see. It's no light shrouded. What they would like is lights. I have street signs bigger than that sign. I have Wellington Street, Ludgate Circus, East Exchange Street. They're bigger than the blooming Colne Market Hall sign. It's not good enough. I was brought up in another council meeting, of course, but they're very happy about it. There's at least 10 I've spoken to in the Market Hall, and they feel it's not good enough for a Market Hall of our size. I don't know whether you've seen it or not. I'm pretty sure nearly everybody in this room, you're all Colners. You're all a Colne Zoo in here, so I'm pretty sure you've seen it. And as soon as it goes dusk, like it just disappears. It's a very strange sign. It looks like it's in beta life. I think it goes back to the 1930s. It should be on Antiques Rotary. Oh, this is what it was supposed to be. They actually put it on the newsletter. And I'm sure you've seen this newsletter. And they are unhappy about it. So they've asked me to come along and just appeal if something could be done. There are two concrete alarms that used to be there, one at the back, one at the front, have gone. Stephen, our markets inspector, said they disappeared and were smashed up. So sadly they're gone. So whether any others, oh, we have the stone one. We won a great victory there. I'm so proud that you managed to do that. And the stone one will be cleaned up, ready for the opening. Is it June? Is it July? Nobody really knows. The chaps who work there don't know. They're around the back smoking. So that's another thing. But anyway, I do appeal to you. Can something be done? This is on behalf of the most important people who run the market inside. They're the ones who look after the people at home. So there it is. Call Market Hall. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Put your microphone on for a minute. I'll tell you when nobody else will put theirs on. But as I understand it, when it's going, it should be lit up. It should say, call Market Hall, and you put your big, right.
Where would they go?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, they didn't know that. They haven't know.
I actually saw it lit up on the way here.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it wasn't when they could come because I went in last Thursday and none of them had seen it later. Oh, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, and because it's going to be used in an evening as well for people going out eating or things going on,
Yeah.
music inside, etc. So,
Yeah.
yes, so it will be little.
That is a victory. Well, that's good news. Whether a concourse of arms could be put up near it, that, you know, that's for.
Well, we'll try that one.
Yeah, that's what they're trying. We've got the other one. And that looks super.
Let's comment on this, is Sarah, and we can
Yeah.
get on.
So I was going to say it is lit up, and I've seen it lit up. And I did like it though. I don't know whether you saw when you told me last week I'd be appalled by it. I like its kind of retro vibe on a modern
I
building.
like it when it's lit up.
Oh, okay.
I do like it. It's seen that grown since I've seen it lit up.
Oh, okay. Well,
Follow that definitely.
Yeah.
to it, you're warming to it. Yeah. So this thing, I wanted to write to you, Brian, but I haven't had time. I've been so busy. So I've got a little update on the market charter. So everybody's hearing this. This is hot news, which we heard from the bid manager yesterday, Gina and I. So I've been sending on your emails that you very kindly sent me to whoever I could think of. And the bid manager has sent them to Cosima Townley in Burnley. Cosima Townley has sent them to the Lord Lieutenant of Lancashire, apparently. And they are speaking to people who potentially could have our market charter reissued. So it's fingers crossed, because obviously it has, in the midst of time, all of your sort of research of various sort of blind alleys seem to suggest that we do need one reissued.
Huge.
I just say,
You
I
can.
looked it out today, and I think these are the market. These names, these older picture group. I thought it might be a large. Well, I suppose have to investigate. He said the other cable, if you look at that one, it seems to have the seal.
I think that these are the incorporation from 1895.
Yeah, they're charter. Yeah, the Borough of Colne Charter, which is now in Nelson Town Hall for some reason. It's signed by Queen Victoria. I've had it out when I did the consent in 1995. We got it out and photographed it. Jeff Yates, sadly passed on now. He got it out for me. Wonderful. It's a living document, you know, and actually signed by Queen Victoria herself. And that should be back in Colne. I mean, it's that important to Colne. It was a Borough of Colne, 1895. Why it's in Nelson Town Hall, I don't know. But it is stayed, of course, and that's it.
Right, well, we're stopping now. Okay. We'll never get on.
Right, I shall stop speaking now. I shall leave at speed. You good people debate what's happening in the world.
Item
Thank you
7.
very much, everybody.
Item 7 is report from Borough and County Council. So I asked Mary if she can give us an update on anything that's affecting Colne that's happening at Lancashire County Council first. Okay. Marion?
Thank you, Chair. Last Wednesday I went to the launch, funnily called, of the new police station on Caldwell in Nelson.
I think it's a hideous building to look at from the outside. Inside, totally different story. Inside, it's beautiful. Very, very nice. However, we were given the impression that we could go and sit there, we were purposely invited. We went and sat there, waited, and the commissioner was there, and the chief inspector was there, and various people were there. Some were from the architects and building people, and they all got to speak, but there was no space for questions. So we weren't allowed to ask questions, but we were told that we would go on a tour of the station and we would come back and ask questions. Well, that never happened. We went on the tour, all right, and I am amazed at what we've got in there. Of course, the one thing they haven't got in there are any cells. So there are no cells, and the prisoners will be, or suspects, whatever you want to call them, the criminals will be taken to Greenbank and Blackburn. And that's where they will be held and then brought back. And if they can't get them in because there's too many in those two places, then the precedent is the next call. Now, can you imagine the transportation costs of prisoners to and from, and then to and from court on top of it all? So that went down like a lead balloon. There were just myself and Nathan McCullum who attended this meeting as county councillors. And we went round and we had a look. Now there are two things that I was really impressed with. One was the computer fraud section, which is massive and has got software specifically for sorting through images on a computer. It's really quite astounding when you see it. It's everybody's got 2 and 3 screens on their desk and they sort through these things. On the day that we were there, they'd just come back from arresting someone and were busily trying to go through the images on the screen. So obviously that's quite a big thing at the moment, going through these images of people that are quite, as I understood it, and his words were high ranking. So we will read it to that. But it's all in that one unit. So, that was a really good point. The next point was that we've got CSI there partially. So CSI can deal with things actually there and not have to go to a lab, but there are only basic things that they can deal with. However, they've got that. They've got an ABE unit, which is the examination unit for victims of assault, for just physical and sexual. And that is really excellent. It's got a separate exit. It's got serious accommodation. There are 3 suites, and there is no obvious recording machines. There are no obvious cameras in place in the rooms. They will be anonymous, so it will all be happening, but it will be happening without the victim being in the place with that resource going forward. And the people who will be doing the interviewing will be the specialised trained people for those sorts of attacks. And the other thing that I know we spoke about it earlier today, it's the neighbourhood hub and response unit. And they've merged the 2 units. There's only 1 inspector in charge of both of these units now, and they're merged on 1 floor. It's massive. Much again, and it's just 1 set of desks and computers all the way down the room. And what it is so that if there is a neighbourhood requirement and there's no neighbourhood people available, then the response team will automatically go out and vice versa. So that makes it all one unit, much more flexible. Because there have been no facilities for asking questions, I did ask the question about why do we not have any people in Colne that are visible? We don't see them other than the cars going da through the town. And she said, oh, well, you know, they're busy. And I said, but there is no trust between the police and the people at Colne. And we need that trust, and you need that trust for us to be able to trust you to come out. And I explained that I had an incident in December, and I still haven't heard the outcome of that particular incident. Strangely enough, I've just been sat here, got a message from the PC, so and she did say she would get back to me, so that's fine. But I really question them very hard on the fact that we don't see anybody, we don't have anybody in the area, and what we do have often goes to Nelson and not Colne. We are not happy about that because we're always at the bottom of the list. And she said, oh, we've got, I said, you've built the station in the wrong place anyway, how can you get anywhere? You've got to go through Colne or Nelson to get anywhere from here. You can't even jump onto the M65. So how on earth is this the right place? Well, so that at this point, she called for backup, did the inspector, the chief inspector. She called for backup because she thought I was going to get quite out of hand. And I was being quite calm and polite with her. But the organisational manager arrived to say, you've just got to give us time. And I said, time? You've had more time than enough. Why are we not in a station building that's going to be empty? There isn't one in the area that's working. There's cells at Barnoldswick police station because they built some with cells, but there's none anywhere else. So why are we in this position? What do we have to do to get some sort of response from the police? Oh, well, you just have to give us time. I said, okay, I'll give you time. How long is it going to be before this station is fully functional? June. So that's where we are. That's how I left it. And they know I'm not happy and that Nathan's not happy. And they know that how Colne feels towards the lack of the station. So we have to just set it and give them time. So if there's anything that anybody wants to ask me, please go for it.
I think, Dorothy.
Well, I'd just like to make a comment. You're not happy with it, Marion, and neither is the Colne. But had somebody different gone and done that visit, by the way, none of us were invited, they might have a different opinion. So what you're saying is, to me, your personal.
No, it's how I found it. It's how I found it, though.
Right.
It's how I found it, and I asked the questions that have been asked me here at home.
We're at where we're at.
So we are where we are, and there's, you know, there's nothing anybody can do because the station's almost empty.
Thank you.
Patricia.
I'm just wondering what's going to be happening to the two stations that are now going to be closed in June when this new multi-station is in operation.
I think that's the big question, but I don't think we've got any answer at all yet. So is that everything? Thank you. It's usually not as busy as this. We usually don't have many other questions. So but thank you for waiting and being able to tell us.
I'll leave you with it.
Yes, I was, because I knew I was next, so I didn't speak, but I've written to Nathan, and copied in Gina, because Gina and I have been writing to, who we've written to? We've written to the inspector, the police constable, and the police and crime commissioner, and the sergeant, because we would very much like to put the police station as an opportunity site within the neighbourhood plan. And we're not seeking to not have the police make money from that, but we do have ideas. We would like to speak to the facilities management people. I just, they won't speak to us, will they, Gina?
We've been trying, we've been trying for the last 2.5 months to try and get a response from the commissioner, who was actually there. But he made sure that he was there at the last minute, and he went before anybody else went. I've also drafted a letter that Nathan sent under his name, that I drafted it, to say to the chief constable about incidents that have happened where we get nothing and no witness statements taken at the time. So we have had quite a lot of communication ourselves, but we're not getting anywhere. And that's perhaps why we got the right to go and nobody else. But we didn't know that nobody else was going. I fully expected to see yourselves as councillors there, and I don't see why that wasn't so. But hey.
Well, I think we all keep trying. That's all we can do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We've got your written report.
Yeah. Can I clarify? It used to say written report, and now you've dropped the written.
Thank you.
In other places, it's a verbal report. You wrote written report. Is that still the case? Okay, right. So here's the written report, but you can see that item 2. Item 2 has already been. I wrote this on Friday. Changed again with another Labour U-turn. So we are having elections. We weren't having elections. We are having elections. It could be that next month we're not having elections. Who knows? The Winstone, which is item 3, I think was fine because it was planning an action, and we got a good thing. The trees are being kept apart from the dying ash tree. The wall is being kept, and Barrowford Road is not being as much. Langroyd Hall is later on this agenda, of course. It seems that the CEO of Pendle Council has come to agreement with Melton and Cone College.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it more important that we get pictures for older children on King George V. In Bloom, I'm sure that you're all going to be there to support it, but we've had sad news about the market front will not be complete for them, which was being, that's honestly very sad because they were counting on that. They've got 50 stores. The signs of LCC carry on. So Pendle local plan is being formally made, but they are now starting on the new plan. Money's been put in the budget of Pendle Council for the new plan, which will be made within 30 months, apparently. So just about the time that Pendle Council will be abolished. That does affect our neighbourhood plan, and we've just got to try to keep ahead of the game. Gina's spoken about the town of culture. I've spoken before about the street signs. We've ordered sort of 20 or 25 new signs, 4 or 5 to be painted, several to be repaired, 1 to be swapped round, spelling mistakes. It would be great if we could get them all perfect. Perhaps you could do a campaign in May from the town council to keep the impetus going. You can see that Pendle Council or Cone Town Council have done a little sort of mock-up of what it would look like with the street sign project. I think a problem on sort of 40, which is something that I'm exploring more, because Pendle Council said that it wasn't important that borough councillors discovered how many properties in Cone are paying 200% and 300% council tax, which is a thing that they put to discourage empty homes. So I said, how many of those are there? And they said, you don't need to know that. And then I said, well, no, I think I do need to know that. And I'd like to know as well whether they pay the money that they're being charged. So they took legal advice and they wrote back to me and they said, you don't need to know that. And I said, well, no, I do need to know that because if they're not getting the money, then it's not an effective measure. So they're now reconsidering that to see whether I do need to know that. But I thought it was very unhelpful that we weren't being told. Belgrave Road's a bit slow, but we are getting there. And I think that's it. If there are any questions.
Okay.
It's not a question, but it's just, I'd like to just to add on the end of what the brought out anyway. If there are any questions. There's been a report from County Council which was released yesterday. That all the libraries that are run by County Council, they were under a scheme from 2022, which is the sanctuary libraries. And the County Council has taken upon himself to cancel it. And said it was a waste of taxpayers' money. Even though it's a free accreditation. The only time anybody knew about it, when it went to scrutiny committee, was in the one of the Preston.
It was the actual cabinet minister for that area that was decided.
It was, Councillor Matthew Salter, cabinet member for Education and Skills Lancashire. So libraries and sanctuary accreditation reached the end of its agreed term 2025, and I took the decision to end our participation at that point. So the libraries and sanctuary have now gone because one person has decided to cancel it, even though it's a free service and free accreditation. I thought I'd just let you know because we've got a library now time, and this is come from council.
Okay. Tonight, returning during which item event the public are excluded from the meeting. Such an exclusion will need to be on the ground and view the nature of the business and transaction. If the public are present, there will be disclosure to the relevant information within the schedule 12A to the local government 1922. And as we do have two such items, items 25 and 26, that which will require discussion and decision that will be in private. Okay?
My expression, we've got the biggest item there, which is the CCTV monitoring fee. That is in arrears.
That it is that I've been chasing that invoice for quite a while. Apparently they have problems with coordinating.
Presumably you get billed in April in advance of next year. They catch up.
Well, I think the year before it came in like November. So
Yeah. Okay. Want to move on to 9B?
Yes.
Yep. So we're sort of 86% of the way through the year. I notice we've got a few budgets that are quite a way below that. I'm hoping we've got some potential savings with things like admin, council and governance. We've also got bus shelters and benches. I'm sure some work might go on those in free time. But obviously we're overspent on the town hall. Lots of work being done. So I'm assuming the others will make their way towards the end of the year.
well, I am hoping so. One thing to think about though is obviously council government. Majority of that needs wages, so we still have 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that will catch up. But hopefully, yeah, I'm hoping that it will be in okay position at the end of the year.
Okay, that's really good. So that's fine. I mean, I'm happy with both of them, so I'm happy with both.
Would fair cause the second.
Second. One question.
And all those in favour?
No, one question.
All right.
I'm just looking on here, one of the biggest ones on here is the name of planned expenditure. And we've got room to utilize, I'm looking at this 141% spend on that.
Not a small number at all.
It's best part of £10,000 on spend.
We discussed the FES. and proposed.
It was.
Exactly the way forward, the speed of the work being done.
I'm just going to say thing where that might say from
The only reason why that is as it is because they stopped the grant funding. We didn't know that until after the budget was already set. So there was a value of income in there, obviously we haven't got, so that's why it's all set. This we can get.
We're not, I'm going to ask you, Sarah, G, can we both come in? Because basically, Sarah, I think we should take our thoughts.
No,
Chairman, it's not their land.
No,
it's the town plan.
it's just a question.
Thank you. So we've had a proposal from David, a second from David, right? All those in favour? What's in 10 snow grant applications? There's no report,
Yes, and just obviously to let them know the decision that was made at the last, yes.
Move to accept the report. It's very straightforward.
Let's give you one quick update. Para 15, yes, they have approached the area. Para 15, the Petroleum Forest Primary School.
Yeah.
Well, they sent in the bid to turn around. So I'll update that.
So, next item. Northampton Council Cleaning Charges Policy. Any questions on that? Yes, Alan.
Will we accept it?
Yeah.
I have one quick question, okay? Which is, can you charge VAT on the fees that are all in the schedule? Do we have on VAT?
We charge VAT on refreshing, but not on the.
Right, okay. I know that on the bottom line, there's additional payment for the mark, £5 plus VAT.
That is, yeah, so any, the actual hire
Yeah.
is, zero rated, so,
Okay.
but anything else, sort of like table, chairs, power, refreshments, anything like that, we do that.
Right, okay. Just one of those things, and if you've got a headline thing and somebody gets a bill for 20% more, then they'll be surprised. But if these are the headline prices and they are that small, they're going to have to lump it ourselves and only get 83% of the income, then it's just nice to know. The other question I had was that you've got through the community centre, it says ad hoc versus regular. I don't think we define what regular means. Every week, every month, every year.
It's usually we do block bookings like so many weeks in the year.
Okay, just wonder if it was confined somewhere, that's all.
Okay. Well, we've had the proposal second, that's all those in favour. Okay.
And so does it get to that?
Yeah, no, we can say it's going to be whichever one wants it. Item 12, Content Council Conflict Risk Register. To consider the documents presented as recommended by the board of Trustees. Any questions? Any questions?
I will just say before we start, none of the actual values, came. To be honest, I think we would, I don't think we can do any better than we're looking at the end column anyway. Obviously, once we take on in terms of the all that to change. But I think at the moment we're in a position where we're doing what we've done for the past few years and we're happy with that and have negated quite a lot of this. But obviously anything new, you can start again.
No,
Well,
absolutely.
you still got a question, yeah.
Yeah, I think with this one, I'm here to make your life easier actually.
Okay.
So I've had a sort of refreshing look at this now, because I had to do all these at work, and this template proved very nice to be able to say, what's the big risk, where are we now, and where do we want to be? Your one now is that if you look down that very end column, the title of it is what controls are to be implemented. So that basically is your action point, it's your to-do list. So everything you put in there should be on your to-do list to do over the next year. But if you look at most of them, it says you're doing them already. But it just says ongoing, ongoing. So you should take credit for that. Though a lot of the things in there should be in that middle section. What are we doing right now? We're looking at workloads, we're looking at lists of this, we're analysing this there. We're doing all of those already. So if it's ongoing, that end problem, which is quite a lot of them, you should really say, well, you don't need to do any more. There's nothing more we can do. Unless you think there's an actual step which we think this really should be done, we haven't done it yet. That's what that end problem is for. Because otherwise, you're sort of accepting there's some risk. Oh, okay, there's some risk in every day in life. But then again, you've got more to do. As you say, it's not changed. What you're basically saying is, I've just ignored that. I'm sure you haven't. So therefore, take some credit for it. Bring it in there and bring it forward. You know, if we're tight headed, you know what we've done here, all the things we do, all the different levels that we have to go through. I think there's extra scope to take extra credit.
We get the second. Oh, okay.
If it's not been proposed, I'm back to propose it.
I'll second that there.
Thank you. Patricia, all those in favour? Thank you. Item 13, writing T, item policy, document chemistry policy. Any questions on this?
I will just say that this has come about, because they have put in a new assertion on the audit, for the actual AGAR report, which is all to do with websites and IT. Says all councils should have an IT policy.
Two things. At the end of 6.6, upon termination of employment, access to council social media accounts will be withdrawn. This is before the out, so that will be withdrawn. The content must be returned to the council.
Sorry, where was that?
That's the last bullet of 6.6. I'm not sure what content you can return when you're looking at social media accounts. Bottom of the page, there.
So they must be returned to the council.
Yeah, so upon termination of employment, access to council social media accounts will be withdrawn. So you're basically saying, you know, I left the employment, therefore, that's it, I can't get access to it.
Right.
I'm not sure what content can be returned. You can't return social media content. But whether you need that, whether you feel forced like that, will be withdrawn. Another thing. The other one was 6.8, the joys of AI. We've got a section on AI. Comes up in the room who uses AI. We all do Google searches. What do you think that is?
No,
What?
there's AI and there's Google.
Google is powered by AI things. You've got extra things doing it now, like Google Gemini. What's better? Microsoft Copilot. It's just a thought. On the second to last bullet, it says AI must not be used to make decisions. Fair enough. Provide legal, financial, and professional advice. Well, of course, it does give you that sort of thing, and then you use your professional judgment. So, you know, you can by all means download that information, but then use your professional judgment on top. But that's all. Other than that, I'll move.
Yeah.
Sound good.
All those in favour? 14, contact health and medical policy.
There's no questions.
Yeah.
Just one. We go in, we launch into objectives, background, regulated key principles. We don't actually define what petty cash is until paragraph 7. I just thought we might want to put that right up front. What is petty cash? Put it right at the front. Other than that, I'm happy to go and do it, and I'll say.
Are you moving on second?
No,
No,
Dorothy,
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah.
We're voting, yeah.
All those in favour? Speed management, to do with the information presented and to agree on 3 new locations for the next session.
Okay, so I did put an email out
Yeah.
early on in the week, and unfortunately, the project didn't return any data. So really all we need to decide here is whether you want to use the same locations again and try again, or whether you want to.
I think we should do the same one, yeah?
On Shore Street, on that. Yes.
No.
Because recently I've noticed the speeds on it, particularly with roadworks and
Yeah.
street. That is becoming more of a random. So I think one on Shore Street would help.
I would suggest that maybe taking the 1.5 one-way road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second that, so.
Okay.
Which way on Shore Street?
Where it is that way. Sorry, is
From Bridge Street
where?
to the
It's
Before anything else. Yeah.
going in, no, going in, coming in to go.
going to come.
Because people, yeah,
Um,
people like to come down Bridge Street. And go to Shore Street, or go down not so late. Shore Street.
Yes,
It's a big hole at the bottom of the next.
So in that case, can the previous one be the next one? The one that we didn't take the data from before, because we did agree to do that, to do those, didn't we?
the which ones?
The Langroyd Road, etc.
Yeah, well, the Langroyd Road was, we did actually choose that, so I think,
Oh, right,
but there was no step plate
okay.
on the second.
So we can use this
So
time,
decided to put it on Langroyd Road instead.
we can use this time to get a plate for Birtwistle Avenue, or to ask LCC whether we can have one. Then, of course, I've got that man that keeps writing to me that you know about, who would like a plate on Library Way. Or
Yeah, there are a few, that we need to
ask about.
but, I was waiting for that. I am happy in that one.
no, please.
Chair, what we need to do is there are 2 cameras on.
One of them doesn't work anyway.
Well, what we need to do is talk to Together Housing, who we think put them on. And check whether they work or not. If they work, or we'll work with a new battery or a kick or something, we ought to do that.
They don't collect any data.
No, but we don't know, do we?
No, I don't think they do, they just. Watch up. Yeah.
Okay, discussion, we know what we're doing, we're in Shore Street and going back to what they were before. So can I have a proposal and second for that, please? Right,
I'll second.
thank you, all those in favour? Thank you.
Don't forget it's taken now, where they go, so she has.
Item 16 is LCC notice of proposed bus stop clearway. Who wants to start with this? Who knows about it?
Straightforward.
Can we take it as read? It's a bus stop with a W around the door, that's on the next column.
Yeah.
There is a reason about it, because there are people in cars and vans who are parking on that pavement, and it stops them. So it is actually them being responsive to our
Yes.
community,
Yes,
so you have to.
yes,
So, do you want to just get back to them and say that we?
we're okay with that. Item 17, LCC notice of proposed parking restrictions. Any issue?
Yeah.
Right?
Are they all there?
Yeah. To receive, item 18, to receive an update from the chairman of Colin England on the work charities being undertaken with some pictures. She isn't
She has
here
said
tonight,
her.
yeah, she has. Yeah, yeah. So,
Read that.
with that, yeah.
Thank you, councillor.
Yes, thank you for the work that she did. Item 19 was Great British Film Blues Festival. Receive an update. Yeah.
So no real update on them, so 133 tickets and 26 camping pictures, and the 2025 festival is finalist in the UK Blue Awards, which we'll find out in April when we won again, and that's it really.
Chair, it's now announced that Walter Trout is the headline.
Walter Trout, yeah. Walter Trout.
Sounds fishy.
Oh,
What's it? He's putting it. It's in progress.
Item 20, Colin Clark, and it's in the meeting at the neighbourhood park advisory committee on the 29th of January.
Okay, so I think, Gina has circulated the minutes, but actually loads has happened since then. We're a bit shocked, aren't we, Gina, by the walk back to speed of the new people. We cannot keep up. Dave Chetwin has rewritten all of our policies according to the current Pendle local plan and the current national planning policy framework. We had a team with him and sent back our initial responses. We could barely turn around when he sent them all back again. It was a major piece of work with all of our different sections put in. This has now given us a lot of work to do, because essentially our longer sections, so if you remember, I rewrote section 4, what is code now, for example, and it's a detail thing. What he wants to do in the main plan is just have a précis of each section and then have the longer documents as evidential background documents, so they're very, very easy to understand. He has also taken out elements of our evidence base and put them into our policy. So again, it's very, very easy to understand. So I need to do that. At the weekend, David and I went round and we did the new potential local green spaces, which are Manor Road, Briarcliff Avenue, and Tony's Wood. Councillor Ash Sutcliffe is very, very keen to do Starkey Bottoms, Home Beach. Then we also went round and looked at heritage buildings that didn't make the cut last time. Just to remind you, some of the buildings that are really non-designated heritage assets will be taken out. So we'd be looking to take out, for example, the demolished pumping house on Spring Mill, because it's not there, and also 18 Keighley Road, which has had all its external heritage value taken away, and then put in new heritage buildings. So we're proposing at the moment the former ground school on Barrowford Road. I've written that description. A pair of very fine stone villas on Castle Road, the park and the associated cottages on the park. Actually, we went to go and see a house called Bankfield House, which is near Bishop Moor, and we were standing outside. The owner came out and said, "Isn't this house just the same as the house that's next door to you?" And I looked at it and I thought, "Yeah, it is." So we went home and photographed the house that was next door to us as well, like I'd not noticed. I also photographed Winstow, which obviously had come to our notice with the planning. So I will write all of those up, but I think the most important thing is that I do all the précis sections, because that means that at the next neighbourhood planning meeting, amazingly, we will actually have a draft that basically will look regulation 14 ready. I think it's basically that, isn't it? It's just this draft will be tweaking it. So the only other thing is, I've written today to Ollie Mackerel, who is the ecologist at LCC, who is the person behind the habitats map for the Lancashire Nature Recovery. You remember that we wrote in August of last year, going through what our sort of feedback on their map. And obviously, to be fair, they've got the whole of Lancashire to do, and it's on a really, really small level. I'd spoken to him previously because he'd come and spoken at the climate emergency, and I asked him to really focus on Combe. So I think that he will put these changes in, and that means that in our plan, we'll just be able to say, see the habitats map, see the areas and opportunities for improvement, and it'll be easy because we won't have to write any policy. That's what I'm hoping. But in addition, our consultant has asked that we use our local knowledge to put forward any places that are important for any particular reason. So they could be the special orchids that are on Give Hill, there could be the otter that's at Hall Grove, it could be the curlew and the lapwing that are on the Ruff. So it's really using our knowledge, our local knowledge, just to put those forward so they're mapped very clearly, not just for LCC, but within our plan. They're not the same as local green spaces, it's just something that we want to have within our plan, so it's noted. I think that's it. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Not a question, but grammar schools finished being built in 41.
Ah, interesting to know.
We started building it before, and been trying to check. Councillor Clegg and I have a memory of the Grenfell, on the Grenfell of Grenfell Gardens. I think he was an architect, possibly with Lancashire. I've done a very little bit of, I'm trying to find out, but I couldn't do it. I know Derwent House was Derwent because he was did a lot of work about. I think Grenfell.
So who was the architect?
Grenfell, we think, was the architect.
Well, okay.
As Derwent was the architect for.
Yeah, no. The architect was George Grenfell Baines.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, that might be why I think
Yeah.
you know, he had the names on there.
So actually, Sarah, you've been wandering around that estate, looking at the school, wondering where you could pick the name, you keep walking past the street and his name.
Well, that will save us time, because when we come to that street in our Combe Street thing, we already know that one. That's another one, a free one on our list.
Right. Can we go to planning, please? That's item 21. So the first one is 26 stroke 0034 stroke FUL. It's erection of a dwelling with a altered vehicular access with the provision of 4 parking spaces on the west of Lakeside, Red Lane College.
It was me. I just said I feel a bit depressed if I live there. It's like a golf out.
It's people trust the road at Green or in.
Some of the detail at the back is similar to the houses it's near.
Is it not fair?
And there's such a range, particularly on that side of the road.
So I've got no
I
comment.
don't think it's that particular. Other than construction hours, because it will be close to, if not near the house, it's next door. Simply doing it.
Weekends and nights. We're all right to That's, yeah. Right, the next one is 26.0031 MPL. That's one West Water, Farm, Red Lane, Coal Convection, Dunbar to one dwelling, with the provision of 2 parking spaces.
Where have you gone?
Oh, I've got 2 copies of it.
One lost with that, one lost 13.
There's two landlord ones, isn't there?
Yeah.
First one is 26.0039, stroke LBC. List of building content for the 1 million. Until next year, alteration to convert the building to 7 apartments and demolition of existing sunroom and the erection of a sunroom extension. Any comments?
Bit confused because when you look at these two here, they basically state the same request, but the second one goes with extras on. So I'm wondering if they should have withdrawn one of the
The first one, Treasury check is because it's a listed building. And then the second one is essentially what they want to do to it and add the extra.
I'm just reading on here was the internal and external alterations component of 7 apartments, demolition of existing sunroom, but it's copying exactly the same on next one.
You have to do it.
Like I say,
That's what I thought. That's because it just seemed a bit strange, right?
no comment. Just let it.
No comment, no comment. Yeah.
Can I tell you what I think, Chairman?
Yeah.
I think it's probably the best you're going to get
Yeah.
from that sector in reality. And over the years, if we're going to do this, if we're going to do that, if none of it, apart from ransack the building inside, there's nothing left of it. It's falling apart. It's getting year by year, it's getting nearer and nearer to falling down. And I honestly think it's not what I would envisage being the best thing going from day one, from 20 years ago. But I think you've got to say it now where I'm afraid if it doesn't get something done with it fairly soon, we will lose it and we'll fall down with it. I think it's the best we're going to get, and I think it should be going to say the building what's left.
Yeah, I think we all think that. We don't, it's
What I'm saying.
Yes,
I'm going to be very careful what I say. I'm not so sure that I necessarily think that. If you read the sort of design and access statement or whatever, historical justification, they keep saying that the previous scheme which was approved, which was enabling last time, is now not viable. Now this is a different owner. And there is harm, they acknowledge the harm. And I would just point out that if you own a listed building, you have an obligation. You have an obligation. The council can force you to do repair. And I feel that Pendle Council on the last 2 owners has been, although we've raised it at Cone area every single month, I think that they could have done more. And I don't believe that it should be a position that it feels like a blackmail situation whereby if we don't approve it, then we'll let it fall down, because that shouldn't be a calculation that should be made, because that shouldn't be allowed to happen in law.
you see, that's the result, isn't it? That we don't want to take rubbish. Yes,
I think Cone area, we've had a lot of success, like the Wilderstone one, where we put suggestions. So don't just accept what's there. If there are suggestions, we can ask the owner to consider them. This has attracted an awful lot of public attention, an awful lot of public interest. People want it as this, they want it as that, they want it back like this, and they all want it back. And obviously, if we suggest, could you make it a golden road with everything, whatever, then the developer will just say, no, it's not right. Fine, but you can always make suggestions, and we can say, please ask the applicant if they do this or do that, or modify it this way. You know, we often ask for things like this, where there's lots and lots of buildings, lots of people, we often say, can you give us a proper drawing because we don't have a car? You know, very simple things like that. What does it actually look like? How will it work? So don't be afraid of making any suggestions for us to give feedback.
What we saying then, what's the majority say, just,
And just to point out, have you actually noticed in the picture where they say, oh, it's clear in front of the house? You look at it, it's just a car park. And it's not a car park like it was when it was a carvery, because now it's a concentrated car park.
You start the town bonfire in a car park.
It was.
well, what are we saying? What are we just saying no comment, or we saying that we don't think it could improve? What are we saying? And please,
I think we'll be able to say more at common area, obviously. And I think, like David and Sarah are saying, you know, we need to have our eye on the ball, don't we, with this.
you know, and you have a planning process.
It's true, John, that we're in a different position from these people, not Neil, who can. This is the point of Combe Town Council. You're not a deciding body. You can look at those flats. As I asked Nathan to put them up, and you can look at that building, which is the hall, and you can think, is that what you want to see? And if it is what you want to see, say so. But if it isn't what you want to see, you Combe Town Council, you can.
Yeah.
I think we say that the additional flats should be more sympathetic to the building that's there. I mean, there was a plan, however many applications, where the extra buildings were small bungalows dotted about, not however many floors that, at least 300. Very loud.
Thank you for pointing that. Langroyd Hall as it is, the sketch on my left hand side, where you've got the apex frontages, and on the right hand side you've got a bland square. I thought the building there is heritage building, no accent.
It's great to look.
Basically, speculative. Does that mean that they can take away the that frontage and the apex balustrades?
The building will still be there. So that building that you can see the ghost of on the top left is still going to be there. But in addition to that building, are all of these buildings that are going to be near that building.
So what are they actually doing to the hall itself? This is what we also want to know. That's in number 3. So number two and number 3. Yeah. So this other lot is extra on top of. Thank you. That's what I wanted to find out.
Like what we're saying, what's the comment from this council? That it's
I'm sure that the additional flats should be more specific to the main building.
Yeah.
I mean, the two number cottages, exactly. But that block is, well,
It looks like it's going to be a lot of.
two retained one on top of another.
Just answer Patricia's query. When we had the last planning application in, the main hall was going to be like a community, do you remember, Sarah, when we went to?
It's going to be a hairdressers.
A hairdressers, a cafe, which was wonderful, you know, and the public could go, I think, as well, you know. That, you know,
Yeah.
there's
But that's not good before us now, is it not? None of us. No, it's not in there at all.
No.
So what have you got written down?
The other thing I'd like, the additional flat should be more synthetic to me, so that's all I've written down.
I think we could all agree, should, instead of looking like, what can I give an instance of what it looks like, else?
No environments.
You should have a,
We had certain road on it, and there was some stones about it. Stone on was basic. The area in the car park, it made my look more sympathetic. It does make it a bit more sympathetic, I agree. But the actual principle of it is what I it needs something to deteriorate and deteriorate. But I can remember the days when on that car park, it used to be a very little car park. And it's got bigger as things have been knocked down, because I can remember when there were terrorists at 6 footage on that car park. And it's not that long since, but it's really. But they're accepted.
I think the other thing that you've got to consider is the massing. So this is considerably more massing than the last application. Is it too much massing, the right amount of massing?
too much of it.
If you go back, Chairman, to something that Sarah was talking about earlier, which was Derwent House, which is the old hospital, and the Grenfell Gardens development there. Obviously, the school was there first. But when the houses were down, they were built bricks of a certain colour and of a certain design, so that they fit in and actually complement. Now, I think Sarah's right in that sense, and I think the new bill wants to complement what's already there rather than detract from it.
Can we catch that? And say,
I think also we've got to think about the reaction of the public if we don't get this right. You know, there's a lot of feeling about it, we all know.
Well, they may do, so like an industrial stuff.
Especially square buildings like that.
and flat, do we want to, sloped,
Slated road.
slated road, if possible?
And they make food.
No,
The material should be chosen that complement the building road.
And also what the main building of the extras to complement the whole.
Are we okay with that?
I mean, obviously, it wants to do with conditions, so that's where it comes in an area committee, because that's the place to do that.
Ten boys.
Just to point out, those who don't go to the area committee, it comes up, doesn't it, Dorothy? It comes up. What happened here? It comes up. So, yeah.
Item 4 is 26.002 or ADV. It's advertising consent at the Morris Johnson's. Is it good?
I think that they hope to slide this in as a general refresh update, but perhaps some of you don't remember that there has been a thing here before, and we took them to appeal and won. So I don't think that this is taller than what's there. It's 2.2 meters tall. The difference is it's internally accumulated. I haven't had time yet, because it's not coming to Coney area yet, to look up what the appeal decision said. But we won the appeal, and they made because it's a residential area and not a sort of commercial area, they made the illumination external. So they fired lights at everything. So I would feel that given that we've won on appeal on this before, we ought to maintain that line potentially and say, you know, it's not the height, and 2.2 metres isn't excessive. But me, I think we ought to query or resist the internal illumination in that location. This is not the same as that lower bit of, you know, North Valley, like, you know, by McDonald's. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, last time this came up, that, the sign that was there was extremely bright. You know, the cars were driving around and it was stupid to be honest with you. It was so bright, it was unbelievable.
They did it without permission, didn't they?
Yeah, they just stopped it off.
I seem to remember, Chair, that there was some mention of saying that it distracted from crossing.
Yes.
There's a crossing there, and I think that because it was bright.
Yeah.
So we can say we can't say it is all, as it's brothers, getting brothers,
The problem is that it's not as bright because it's darker colours to start with. But I think we should say that it should, anything replacing what's there now should be illuminated in the same way. So that i.e. going to bring in detail on it.
Item 5 is 26.005 Horsepocket Church Road. It's 10 Raymond Call. Selection of a single story front extension with balcony above, including a balustrade connected to the existing balcony. Is this the one at the bottom or is it the top? Is it the ones on the top or the ones on the leg side? Speak to me. Is it the ones on the leg side or the ones?
No,
It's on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side,
Yeah.
But I've looked at this 3 or 4 times, I can't make my mind up. I just think it looks ugly. Better in reality than on the road.
bizarrely, knowing of you is Holmes Beverly Hills.
No.
And all the houses are going this way, one after another. What you can say, of course, is that our conservation area, only the mother could have done them in the 1970s, really. So it's not like you're spoiling a beautiful building, but it's just balconies a go-go there. It's keeping up with the Joneses as well. I don't think that, unless there's something I don't know, because this is the front facade, but possibly from a planning perspective, I can't see.
You'll have a hot tub.
We'll have 10 hot tubs, probably, who knows? Don't know. I mean, what privacy do you have in your own house with that? They might have internal. I don't think there's really anything that we could say except Polycom. So you don't come in.
Next one is 00353 Church Road. It's 6 Mason Street, Cole, erecting a single-story rear extension with the insertion of a new window opening to east elevation.
This one actually brought joy to my heart. It's a derelict building. It's bringing it back into use. It's using incredible levels of hempcrete and ameliorating sort of damp coming from concrete bases. The only thing that concerns me, and I'm sure this is a technical issue that Neil Watson will advise on, is does it breach the 45-degree rule with the next door neighbour? It's not something that we know. There's maths in it. You'd have to go there and do maths, possibly with a protractor or something similar. I suppose it's just a question that we need to be aware of. But in terms of bringing an empty house back into use, using eco building materials in a very considered way, surely it's a massive win.
Say that we welcome this.
Using lime wash as well.
Item 7 is 26.001. It's Unit 8, Whitehall to Clifton Estate on Regent Street. Any comments? Yes, sir.
I don't know whether, from a planning perspective, with the whole class E, whatever, different classes, it's most confusing, recently changed, we can say anything. But what keeps happening at Pendle Council is they keep opining that our industrial estates, which are meant to be places where you make things and employ lots of people, are becoming gyms or retail spaces. Is this a similar situation where it just becomes other sales thing? I suspect that probably in planning classes, it's nothing you can do.
My only concern there is a change into a car sales, is how many vehicles they're looking at using and where they're put. So if it's taking parking spaces outside, which is for general use, so we're going to be inside the building. I don't know, I just said on here, creation, changing it to car sales. With creation of new access roads to the site and with alterations to existing parking. Well, what depends how many vehicles are in it, how many in it.
Yeah, we're very, very short of space for businesses in Pendle. And so businesses are moving out of the borough and have been for some time, you know, so I think we should try and support something like this. I'm not sure whether it would work or, you know, if it feasible. But I do think we should try and keep businesses in Pendle if we can.
Since the Longshoe Estate and Whitewalls were designated as industrial estates, there's been this argument of should we or shouldn't we allow non-industrial uses. Now, already down there, you've got it's still there, the place that sells pet food.
Yeah, it's still there.
You've got the higher places, and so on. So I really think that there probably isn't any planning grounds to turn it now. If this is the unit that I'm thinking of, when this was built, whoever built it, or the architect, the inside of it had glass. You had to see that where the windows are, that there was transparent, translucent. You can see the windows around there, and the ones at the back that they possibly want to take out. When you were inside, you could see boats moving along the canals. It's very well done. Other than saying we prefer it to stay as an industry, but I think that ship has sailed from Whitehall and indeed Longshoe, because she's got Jaguar, you've got Citroen and Gunsons again.
So saying no comment.
Great, it's 26.003 Monstrum Head. It's long, it's water plant, it's conversion to stone bar to farm the dwelling, but there's not two parking spaces. Has to look at.
It's bridge, it's the bridge where you go across and you can walk up through the fields to the customer.
It's next door to the one we had at last month's meeting, except it's a different access to it because it's after where you turn off the Blakey Ball. And you go over next to Norway and then along the Norway to it.
What you say there?
It is massive.
It's got Grandier's red gate piers now. Up here. It has Grandier's gate piers.
Oh,
That new,
so,
somebody's spending a lot of money.
yeah,
I think it's about 135 feet by 40 feet, 20 feet out. It is quite big.
say nothing. Next one is the 26.0064 from HH Road, it's New York Chrome. In search of the new window, what we need that contamination.
Yeah, it's the one, it's next to, what was the well, Queen's Hotel where, what their name? The people that.
Leisure House.
Leisure House, that's it. It's next to that, so I'm assuming that this is to, put an extra bedroom in, for their clients.
Is it the hairdresser?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's the hairdressers, Alexa.
Your comment.
It's a conservation, so I don't think we should say no comment, because they're taking out UPVC and putting in wood. So it's, from a heritage perspective, it's not great. And actually, if you look at the way that the windows are done, in the existing, you've got top openers, which is the wrong aspect ratio for the shape of the window, whereas here, although they're not sashes, but at least the cross is in the right place. That's another win from a design perspective.
It's all welcome.
I mean, we welcome Alicia House generally, don't we? As a function, and they're improving the building a bit, and I think the second window is not going to take away from this shop, this former shop.
From 26.0066 from HH Road, 81 Nottingham Common, erection of a single story flat roof for the extension.
Flat roof. This is probably one of several.
Is this actually, no, right, sorry. Oh,
On this one, Chairman, I think the number's wrong. On our sheet, I think it should be 0074.
We're checking up and saying anything.
It's a verse to more. It is true. It's forward.
It's the one that used to be the shop.
Oh, Greenwood,
Greenwood, well, the same of them now, Greenwood.
yeah.
Yeah.
Will say that it's vast. And the landholding is only 18 acres. It's vast.
What they're going to use.
Well, no, they say, oh, got to do land things and so on. You look at it, it's vast. And it's only for sort of 30 sheep and occasional cattle. It's not a conservation area. The reason that it's not just one of those ones whereby the farmer gives a pre-warning that it's going to happen, and therefore it's done automatically, because it's so close to the house, but then he owns the house. So we've had that position before, we had that at Bluebell Farm. I don't know what the planners are going to say about it, but it is close to the house, or relatively. It's fast. Sorry.
It would deal with the one to change the ban.
I mean, obviously, we see it all over Pembrokeshire, don't we? People who think it's their pension fund. They've got 10 years and just pass queue. Not saying it's that. Not saying it's that. This is a farmer, but we are seeing that all over Pembrokeshire. That's a lot. Could be a lot of houses. I mean, just think about Pipe Hedge Farm.
Yeah, you get to it off that track off. Red Lane, that goes straight to it, just above the.
That it again?
We've got meetings, we've got connections. And then we've got the two, to get to what we've got.
Yes, well, this was so if anyone's got any issues with the meeting, anyone wants to schedule. It goes on the main schedules as obviously the first, FES is on first Tuesday, full council is third Tuesday in the month, unless it clashes with, there's one that clashes with the Grand Prix, which we moved, we put on that a week, so we made that a week.
Yeah, but we won't make it for back a week, can't we? Yeah, so that's.
But other than that, it does. So.
The one thing that was discussed was, start down the meetings.
Yeah, do we want to make it 6:30? Yeah. Or is everyone happy?
I think as the whole depends what our council doing, and our isolation bid say 6:30.
Children's holding out. 7 o'clock and 7:30 for the children show. They're not going earlier.
The officers work like that. They are.
Then it was usually 7:15 or some strange.
Maybe, doesn't it?
What's the consensus then?
That's it.
Okay.
Well, on the grounds that it won't be quite as late when the chairman lets the meeting run over in future. Half an hour, so.
It was
What's the price of that? What was the house?
You couldn't stop. Check what to say.
Or check, but if they didn't know it, mention.
Yeah,
I'll propose that we go through to our streets. I'll second it.
Are we starting that from April when this would start, from are we in March? Next one.
I'd say, start with April, Chair.
Start in April.
Right.
However, there was some more correspondence.
Oh, yeah.
You should have a, thing of it, it's the report, they have changed the format slightly, so, I did receive it this week, so I thought I would print it off. And you can obviously look through it, and you're on my way.
Oh, yeah.